welcome to the PAX Hospitality Podcast. I'm your host, Leon Kennedy, and I've got the crew with me today. So please say hi to Tim Varney.
Hello.
Lauren Daniels.
Hello.
And Michael Bascetta.
Hello. We'll get it on the 5th episode, I reckon.
You know what stuffs me up is Siri, because Siri calls you Michael Bascetta every time, and it just gets in my head. It's wired.
Just think of bruschetta.
Yeah.
Bruschetta. Now I'm going to say that next time.
Just say
bruschetta.
Michael Bruschetta.
I just changed my fucking name. That'd make
That would
it
be
easier
easy
for everyone.
Yeah.
Michael Toast.
So, okay, today's episode's going to be a bit of a cool one. It's pretty specific. So there's a report that's been doing the rounds over the last, I don't know, what is it, about a month, I reckon?
Yeah, a few weeks,
It's the Gen Z Retail Revolution, which was put together by Principles. I got it sent to me by a really good friend, but Loren, you were actually on the call when did they launch it and present it or something?
Yeah, we talked through the findings more specifically, or more kind of laser focused, with the idea at the end you get this report. It was awesome.
Amazing. I'm so keen then to hear your insights then, because I guess I read it and someone sent it to me on a Reddit and I was like, oh man, this is amazing stuff. And like, there's really, really practical stuff in there. So in a second, I'll run through a bit of an exec summary and I'll run through just the main points that really spoke to me. And these are things that have kind of got me really talking. You know, in the last few weeks, like when I'm talking to people, I keep coming back to some of these stats. And I think to kick off, like what I found so revealing about it is it's a little bit out there. So just bear with me for a second. But I feel as though right now in business in general, there's a real changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, I don't know, and it's kind of interesting. Like I feel like there's a lot of people in a certain kind of segment that are finding that, like, you know, the things that made them successful over the last like 20 years aren't necessarily working anymore. You know, and they're not really sure how to deal with it. Like I think some people are sort of just doubling down, you know, like that, the Douglas Adams parrot, that one. That was like, it was in, I can't remember which book it was in. They talk about how like they're going extinct. And so they're like, oh shit, what do we do? And they're like, well, what do we do really well? And they're like, well, we procreate slowly. And they go, okay, well, let's just procreate really slowly. So there's some people that are doing that, and then there's the others that are pivoting. They're going, okay, it is a new world. It's a new era. There's a new everything. Let's lean into it. And what I thought was great was I guess I've been skirting around that conversation with a lot of different stakeholders at the moment where, I feel like we are in a bit of uncharted territory, and there is that changing of the guard. But this article really nailed it with some stats for me, where I get that from this is all about marketing and understanding, really forensically what this juggernaut of a segment's about to do. But remember, right, like Gen Z might be 18 point something % of the population, and it's going to become this like, $1 trillion segment. It's part of the market, which means it's also probably part of your workforce.
Huge part of the hospitality workforce.
And it's the workforce at the moment that most owners and managers are lamenting.
Yes.
Saying that they don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they won't come in a minute early.
But it's also like, what have you done to speak to them?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess
we're exactly what you're saying before. We're not changing the way we work to allow any room for these people to grow into. And everyone's wondering why they don't want to come into hospitality.
Exactly. And you have that sort of thinning middle.
Totally.
So I think like what I would love to do in this conversation, like obviously, Loren, from a marketing perspective, would be great to get stuck into some of these stats. I'd encourage everyone who's not a marketing expert or doesn't work in marketing to consider this from the perspective of think about your staff and your workforce as this segment, and how are you setting up your business and your operations to speak to them? Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you can't cater for Gen Z in your workforce, then you're going to be a far cry from being able to cater for them as a customer.
Yeah. Bang, nailed it. Exactly that. Okay, so quick exec summary. So also we'll link this somewhere, will we?
Straight in the show notes.
All right, cool. So then, okay, the exec summary, right, is like Gen Z is this like retail earthquake, that's about to happen. And as it stands, quick caveat, I'm probably just going to rattle off some stats for a little bit. So if you're not into that sort of thing, just press skip about 4 or 5 times. Gen Z is this retail earthquake that's about to happen. 4.6 million Australians aged 13 to 28 equals 18.2% of the population right now. By 2030, Gen Z is going to control a $12 trillion economy in global spending power. And the main headline, right, is that their impact goes far beyond youth marketing, right? Like they're reshaping every layer of retail operations from product to brand, distribution to store experience. So the big thing that struck me is these 5 critical shifts in retail, and what these represent is the future, right? And what I took from this is like, man, if you're not starting to build your shit in this direction, you are just going to get left behind. And it's not even like it'll happen in 15 years. It's like, no, 2030, dude. That's like, what is that, like 4 years away, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the main things is like social commerce infrastructure, right? Like talking about how platforms like TikTok and Instagram are shopping engines, not just entertainment. 73% of Gen Z purchase via influencer recommendations. 73%.
I know,
That's wild.
it's depressing, but it's life, yeah.
And it's
But why is it depressing? I think it's...
Well, it's just a new way of finding
Exactly.
shit. At the end of the day, it's like they're not sitting. I don't know. I was listening to a different podcast the other day, and they said, and it relates to our children, right? Like I show my kids an ad on TV. They're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
Seriously, the only time my kids see a TV advertisement is when we're watching the footy.
The footy,
Okay,
yeah.
wow.
And I think most of the reason why Maya will watch a game of Carlton play is to watch the ads.
Oh my God.
And she'll be like, "What? I love the ads." Just like, what?
Can you put that in the graph?
Get rid of that. But honestly, like they don't, and obviously she's not on TikTok and stuff yet, but even that shifting when they do eventually get on social media, it's where they're going to get all their information from, like
It's
we
so
kind of
true.
already do.
Dude, so 73%, right, are purchasing via influencer recommendations. That is 3 times higher than traditional ads. 3 times, right? Like that is...
Yeah, because there's a click conversion rather than a traditional ad.
But I mean...
Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw something on TV. Maybe I'll buy a Toyota Hilux one day. Like, fuck.
Sure,
Like,
but I think anecdotally, right, like where my mind goes with this, like that totally tracks, because I think about, the purchases that I've made in the last little while. So many of them have been through, influencers that I follow. Because think about it, when you go on TikTok or Instagram, you are curating your own world, right?
Yeah.
And it is like the people that you tend to engage with or follow or whatever.
like-minded.
It's exactly, so I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna go into the freaking K-hole of like which better motorcycling gloves should I get.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to the guy that rides like me and that thinks about motorcycling. I'm like, that's what he's got. Cool. And if he's recommending something, I pretty much am buying it.
And the people that are getting heap of traction and smart brands are doing it, they're focusing on the micro influencer cohort that are like 5 to 10,000 followers, but they're real specific and they're really trusted.
Yep.
Instead of throwing it to someone that has 500,000 followers and get a 0.00% uptake. Same with me. It's like certain things I follow that are like hyper focused on something I love.
Yep.
Someone says these running shoes are great.
You're gonna check
I'm
them
gonna
out?
at least check them out.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas if it feels like an ad, I'm not going to check it out.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, we'll get to this in a second, but so there's last thing on that point around social commerce infrastructure is success comes from community building and authentic creative partnerships, not top-down content, which I'm sure you got a lot to say on that.
Yeah.
Second point that really got me is like the hybrid experience integration, right? So physical stores must act as experiential stages for content creation. All right, so digital shopping doesn't replace in-store. It actually raises expectations for it. Crazy, right? So, using AR, QR codes, sensory immersion to drive real world engagement. Like, man, this is the future, right? I remember doing this case study on Best Buy in America and how they sold, because at the time, all these people in retail were freaking out because the consumers were coming into, your department store, talking to someone about what iPad or specific laptop they needed. And then once they worked out, this is what I need, they would literally, while they were in store, go online and purchase it online because they could get it cheaper and then walk out.
Yeah.
And so the retailers were just like, we're fucked.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? And so Best Buy did this really cool program where they said, okay, we're going to reimagine our stores, right? And we're going to not set them up according to appliance, we're going to set them up according to brand. And then what we're going to do is we're going to leverage each brand and say, hey, you should think about this as inventory space and a mini showroom. And it kind of, I don't know how it's going now, but
did that work?
Well, at
that
the
would
time,
be so
it
annoying
moved
for
the needle.
me. I need a microwave.
Yeah.
I gotta go to 5 different sections of the store.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I mean, I've never followed up on it, but I just think that thinking around reimagining how you do retail is the future. And it's knowing that it's like, okay, if people are going to be purchasing that way, I've got to bring it now.
Yeah. Look at Mecca and their 4-story, insane new
so
flagship in the middle of Melbourne.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to do a normal coffee shop.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a normal, it's all different. So, okay, then next point is like hyper personalization as standard. 67% of Gen Z reject standardized offerings, 86% value authenticity. That's what you were saying before, right? If you can sort of go, that sounds a bit saley to me, or I don't know, someone's trying to sell me something, you kind of tune out. But if it's just someone being like, I really love this product and here's how it helps me, then you'll explore it. Personalization is about identity affirmation, not just convenience, right? Identity affirmation, like how massive is that? Especially on the episode we did about, that whole model. Must be transparent. So like I was saying, so Gen Z can smell manipulation a mile off. It's huge, right? Doesn't this just change? But think about all the sort of like, go back 5 years and think about all content production, right? And all the social posts that, most restaurants were doing. Like, we're open at 5, come and have a drink. Right, no worries. So now it's like, okay, that's not going to cut it anymore. It's like you got to be speaking to identity and it's got to be affirming that, or it's just not going to even register. Ethical positioning as a purchase driver. So sustainability and social values aren't just nice to haves. Brands must offer proof, not promises. This is big to me. Resale platforms.
No more greenwashing.
No more greenwashing.
Yeah, you can't bullshit your way through it because this generation has all the information they need at their fingertips to decide whether you're full of shit or not.
Yeah, and it's not just this generation. It's like we're heading into this kind of very uncertain time, and everything's new, and people just question everything.
Yeah,
you kind of have to. So I feel like that to me is probably one of the most salient points in this whole thing because. It's interesting, again, anecdotally, right? Like you as well, right, Michael? Like we've both spent the best part of almost a couple of decades now pretty well immersed in companies that focus on impact. Like we've kind of just, I don't know whether it was super conscious for you or not, but for me, it's sort of happened pretty organically. But whenever you're in that space, you're always thinking about, we're doing something in particular because it's meaningful, it's making the world a better place. And then there's always going to be someone that comes along and sort of, tries to emulate it.
Yeah.
And most of the time in a positive impact way, you want to support them because the more people doing positive impact, the better.
The whole point,
Yeah, but then, like you said, right, there's that element of the greenwashing, and it's where it gets really tough.
Oh, and the tokenism around.
Yeah.
And it's rife in our industry. Like whether you're looking at coffee and people touting specialty coffee and they're buying crap and just passing it off and charging full whack and trying to say it's fair trade and all that stuff we know. And then in restaurants talking about how they source ingredients and that sort of thing. Or like being a restaurant in Melbourne and saying we only have Australian ingredients. That's like being in London and saying we get our ingredients from anywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
That's how big our country is.
Literally. So
but then people go, oh, that's great. They only use Australian products. And you're like, that is a fucking wild notion.
Yeah.
When you really think about how big our country is.
Yeah.
But we're using the terminology to then make people think we're doing something, noteworthy here. Where it's not. It's like, okay, pat on the back, mate.
Yeah.
Perth is a 4.5 hour flight away, dude. Like,
you could even argue that, is it Bar Midland in Castlemaine?
Yeah.
Victoria
They
is
only
the
use
size
Victorian.
of the UK.
Victoria's big,
So
but at the same time
they need to step up their game.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, guys. But they don't use things like, they don't use sugar. Is that right? No sugar.
Yeah, no coffee.
No coffee. Yeah. Basically anything doesn't grow in Vic, which is when you think about there are a few key ingredients. You're like, fuck, how do we do that? Yeah. But they're pulling it off, and it's an amazing venue.
And I guarantee you that not only would they be pulling it off, but they'll be getting some amazing engagement and reciprocation of those efforts.
Yeah.
I mean, you must see it in coffee a lot, right? Like not just the greenwashing thing, but just arbitrary claims around
the marketing coffee buzzwords that are used that nobody really knows the meaning of, and as a customer you got to wade through it all to understand what's what, and it's very difficult.
100%. Okay, then there's like this notion around localism within a global context, right? Gen Z want global brands with local relevance, community partnerships, First Nations collaborations, regional storytelling, drives loyalty, proximity, purpose, people outweigh scale and polish. I mean, you literally just covered that in what you said, right? So they're kind of like 5 great points that I think are crucial for business owners to take on board. If I just recap it real quick, it's social commerce as infrastructure. It's hybrid experience integration. So what that means is, you take the jargon out of it, it means like your retail experience, your in-store experience, you've got to step that up. Number 3 is hyper-personalization as standard. People want to know your identity, and you need to affirm your identity because they can smell manipulation a mile off. Number 4 is ethical positioning is now not just a nice to have. And if you're going to go out and focus on it, you got to show proof, not promises. People don't give a fuck. And then the last one is like localism within a global context, right? Gen Z want global brands with local relevance. It's about proximity, purpose, people outweigh scale and polish. So epic points, right? Then the next section that I think really hit me is around some of the strategic insights and imperatives, right? So there was this section around like the Gen Z contradictions and seeing them as opportunities. And this to me is awesome because almost I'm cautiously saying this because it kind of flies in the face of like an iterative kind of product mindset, but it just gets the creative juices flowing, right? Like, so you talk about contradictions as opportunities, right? Gen Z are digitally fluent, but crave real world experiences. They're financially stressed, yet demand high quality ethical products and value nostalgia and novelty at the same time. So they're kind of like some really cool, like just
sucks to be a product manager for the next 20 years.
or on the contrary, right? It's like there's some great parameters to do some discovery within.
Yeah, it's actually quite specific.
Yeah, because it's like, how do you strike that balance between, digital and real world? How do you strike that balance between, I don't really have cash, but I only want high quality ethical products? Man, how good would that be as a focus group?
Yeah.
You'd learn some amazing things because all the more reason now, it's not just, the 80s and 90s anymore where it's like, just have heaps of stuff. People will buy things, like no one's got the cash for that anymore. Awesome. Okay. And then, I guess just like some core themes to act on: authenticity over performance, co-creation over passive consumption, values first, not brand first. That's a big one. Like, I don't even think that's something that I've been really even thinking of, right? Like, I mean, a lot of the work that I've done over the last 5 years is helping people with their mission deck, right? So it's all going into the full-on midst of like identity and why do you exist and how do you turn that into a great onboarding document that you can train your staff in and then they can impart that with your customers and whatnot. But when I think about values in that deck, I'm never actually really directly thinking about them as a sales device. It's like I'm going straight to purpose and brand promises and stuff like that. But man, your values are actually way more potent. So I thought that was interesting. Sorry about that.
I think but you look at some of the most successful brands in food or not in the last few years, all of them are speaking to that. It's really, the product is so far down the line. And I know brands like Apple have been around a long time.
Look at Union Square Hospitality.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely dominate here. So transparent with it. And and attract the right kind of staff because of it.
100%.
In a busy service, seconds count. Square's point of sale is there to streamline your operations, from order flowing from the front of house to the back of house to tableside payments with Square handheld. It's tech your staff will love to use and tech they won't need to fiddle with, so they can focus on the best service. Head to squareup.com because service still matters.
So I'll do this last one, which I thought is kind of cool. It's like the actionable playbook. There's like 5 points to it. And then I'm going to put you all on the spot. Well, so I just pick something that struck you in all of that, and let's dissect it a bit further. So you got some time to think about it, but the implementation blueprint that I think is really cool, again, it's just 5 quick points, right? Number 1 is build community infrastructure, right? So if you're a business owner right now, if you have a brand, if you need to implement some of this stuff, invest in long-term creator relationships, empower store teams to generate content. That's a big one. Like, how many times do we need to go through that process of how do we solve this problem? And it's like, no, we need that person with the awesome camera setup is going to come in once every 3 weeks and do a 6-hour shoot. And then that's going to be that's not going to work anymore. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so people want stuff that's less polished, but liver and more raw. Yeah. Okay. Second one is around design stores as the experience theater. Go beyond sales into inspiration and content creation. And to me, it's about, it's this idea around staff are hosts, not salespeople. That's the number one metric, right? How do you put some, indicators around that to give people a sense of, am I being a good host right now? And how much more important that is than just selling and whatnot. Implement personalization as identity infrastructure. So letting users shape products to express their identity. You think about Nike By You campaign, things like that. Transparency and consent are essential, but I know you've got some great thoughts on that, Michael. Integrate ethics into operations. Again, make sustainability structural, not promotional. And then the last one's just local relevance at scale, right? How do you decentralize control? This is a crazy one. I think this is the 1 point for me that I was I don't think people are ready for this one. Yeah. Especially in that older world, right? Where it's just this is my thing and my IP and I do this and the customer buys it. It's nah, bro, it's different now. You got to let go of that control and you got to let people in and let people shape it. And it might be different to what you thought. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. That's an example of gone are the days where you just tell the market, what they want. It's more about you need to listen to what are their needs, right? And speak to it. So amazing. All right. So fair bit of stuff there. Feel like we could do another hour of just going through some of those points, but keen to know from you guys, out of everything we just covered there, what's 1 or 2 things that really stood out and what do you got to say about it?
I think for me, the point around designing stores as experience theatres and then how that flows through to hospitality. So the understanding that, like you said before, you can't just open something and they will come. There'll still be a few % that are able to do that. Yeah. And I've always lent on the Henry Ford quote, the classic of, if you ask people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Yeah. And I've always lent on that. Now I'm I can't use that anymore because this generation is going to be I don't need either.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
So we don't drive anymore.
You idiot. We need a faster train. And going into the hospitality context, I think trying to understand what they want coming into a venue is going to be really challenging for people that are too rigid in their ways of opening venues, right? And the old way of opening of, we kind of think there's a product market fit here. We like cooking this style of food. We are this style restaurant. And then from the day they open to the day they're closed, that's all they are, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the inability to change along the way.
No pivot.
Yeah. And I think this is specific to the lack of response to when people do come in and visit their venue. And they're giving them indicators of how to make those adjustments and they just don't budge on it.
Yeah.
It's how are they ordering? What are the dishes they specifically like?
Yeah.
Are they leaning into a specific style of food? What are the things that are popping up? How can you capture those and then act upon them? So then when this generation is coming into your venue, they feel like this is tailored for them.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And there's things that get them excited around the dishes or if something's tactile or something in the venue that piques their interest. And I think at the moment we're building it in our own vision without really thinking about too much the outside world or this specific generation.
Yeah.
We're still building traditional restaurants as if our parents are the main customers in that age group. It's just like, that's a big shift, right?
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Or jumping on trends. It's like...
Or going too far the other way,
It's almost like millennials and older, if they're in the set that are owning these restaurants, it's trendy to jump on trends. I think of every kind of marketing coordinator right now, they would be getting hit in their Instagram inbox with owners going, this looks cool. It's Spain.
Why don't we do that?
So it has to be coupled with like the authentic identity piece first, before you start getting like, oh, we should join the TikToks.
But I think this is the key thing, is like people think by listening to your customer and making slight adjustments to cater for them is moving away from your core identity. It's like, no, it's not the point. The point is like, if you've got a really great identity that you continue to align with and people still love, it's about, well, how does that identity continue in slightly different contexts? And how can you own a product or a narrative or whatever it is while still being true to your identity? I think that's the biggest gap, because people immediately go, I don't want to jump on that trend. It's like, no. Like, you're missing the point. There's a specific thing right now where, I don't know, what's a good example? Fucking matcha is everywhere. It's do you really want to jump on that trend? Maybe not. There might be something within your venue or service you're like, oh, that one dessert, bit of matcha, would be delicious. You're not changing your identity.
No, but if 3 out of 10 customers are asking for it,
totally,
then you're kind of crazy to leave that on the table. And it's not just like you knee-jerk reactively just do it. You should then figure out, how do I do this in an authentic way?
Exactly.
And those are the brands that do it the best. My dad used to always say, the customer is king, but you are the monarchy. It's a classic one.
That's great.
What about you, LD?
Oh, there's so much. I'm just trying to like filter it down in my head. I was just thinking then while you were speaking, like restaurant operators right now, for you to get a good gauge of where you sit on this, is look at your dining room on like a Thursday or Friday night, and like, how old is everybody in there? And is that quite typical? Is that what you rely on? Is your repeat trade people who are 50 and above? It's like, that's cool for now, but are you going to have the ability to adapt or keep evolving for this $1 trillion market? It used to be like, I used to look at a res report and go, cool, we've got 70% of the dining room is repeat trade tonight. That's wicked. It is good. But if that 70% are retired and they're not the youth, like
That's a great point. I mean, I can sense that there's always going to be some people that are kind of like, I don't want to fully optimize my business to speak to this new segment when I've already got such a big segment that's different or that's old school. And to me, the way I think about that is that, like, that's a crazy position, because what this report shows, right, and what the new market is always going to dictate is what all the other segments start to appreciate too. It's just a question of time. It's like, if you do something that is like, okay, I'm going to really position myself to target, a segment that is like, say, a decade old, like what worked a decade ago, that might suit that segment, but it's going to be really grating for the newer segments. Whereas the other way around, right, you focus on the newer segments, it might be different to what the other segment had, but it's not going to be as grating. They're going to be probably a bit more tolerant and open-minded to it.
The other thing I think of is just that authenticity piece, or, the way that millennials, boomers are categorizing Gen Z as they don't want to work, they don't have any money, they're not going out. It's like they are. Time Out just did a really good report on the drinking culture of Gen Z, because there's this anecdotal story that they don't drink. They're all sober. They're really, it's like, no, they do. They just don't get absolutely shit-faced on the weekend. They're really selective. It's called Sip Happens, Time Out, recently released.
We'll put it in their notes as well.
Cool. But they are selecting what to drink. They're spending a little bit more, and they're just drinking less. So.
But it speaks to all those other points. It's like they're drinking less, but they're looking for something that's interesting or speaks to
or
their
a producer
identity.
they resonate with, or a bit of credibility, or so your storytelling and the way that you market those things has to be backed by your ethics and your...
It touches on the real world experience that they're seeking.
Yeah.
And I feel like there might be a little disconnect between, you know, maybe a generation having grown up in the digital world a little bit. What is their real world experience look like? And it might be strikingly different to what like these millennial boomer generations and what their real world experience. So that sort of connection could be tricky to get right, because it's like, this is not what I was thinking by real world experience.
Yeah. Well, funny on that, as an anecdote, I saw a great Instagram of a dad saying, you know, a punishment for us when we were kids was you had to stay home.
Yeah.
And he said that to his kid, and he's like, how's that a punishment?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a total shift in like, you can't leave the house for 2 days. You're like, that's the worst idea to me. Like right now though, kids are like, sweet. I'm so happy with that.
Well, boredom was so connected to when we were sent to our room. Like there's bugger all to do, but if you're sent to your room now,
well, you got a whole universe.
It's a dream world.
What about you, Tim? Anything? Actually, before I come to you, something I want to ask you, Loren.
Yeah.
In that bit around, you know, success comes from community building and authentic creative partnerships, not top-down content. What does that mean?
Like, to me, what it means is, I guess that authenticity piece again, like rather than going, our social media strategy means we hit pillars in food and drink and vibe, and every week we're going to put out a post, one, and then we're done and we write some copy and we're good to go. It's like, that could work for a little while, but what you need is people that can, like, they're window shopping, so thinking more in a more considerate way about the content that you're putting out there, being like a look behind the curtain rather than this fully staged.
Yeah, the pillars can be hit, but in one shot. And understanding, and that whole vibe and product offering can be seen. It's like window shopping, exactly that.
Yeah.
And a look under the hood, and they understand, they've got that drink and this food, and that's how they make that dish, and all in like a 30-second clip. Rather than the classic, we're drinking this Riesling this week and this is great.
Or the only photography on our gram is polished. It's like, they said it there, Gen Z smell of rats. Like, cool, that's not how it always looks.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what restaurant operators will hear here is that creator partnerships. Do we need to host influencers? Like, there's big commentary in the old world of you shouldn't be hosting. You shouldn't, you know, people emailing and asking for free meals. Like J-Lo, absolutely, this was his. You remember he used to shit can it all the time. Couscous for comment. Yeah, it's like part of that. Which is
pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
It's like, well, that's exactly what traditional media get.
Well, and there's a lot of like creators that don't fit, right? And that's where that whole couscous for comment is ridiculous. But if you've got creators who are obsessed with food, they have really good blogs, they've got a following, and they're people that are interested in what they have to say, care about where they're eating, hell yeah, that's a partnership to explore.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I think people hear creator partnerships and go straight to, I've got to work with the best influencers. That's not necessarily true.
It's like I was saying before, the micro influencers in this space that probably, like, but super trusted.
Not even influencers though, right? Like, just, you've got people coming into your business and making content about it.
They're already
share it. Reshare
exactly.
it. Even if it looks like shit, right? If somebody's come in and they're saying great things about your venue, share it. UGC, it's free. Like, free marketing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it just goes a long way, because it to me, it's the equivalent of like someone's giving you a compliment and you're acknowledging it. Instead of just blanking them and walking away awkwardly. You know?
They may not write a Google review, they may not respond to your feedback emails, but if they're posting something, that's then acknowledging what you've done. And if they're saying things that aren't, you know, quite right in there, treat that like a review. Follow it up. Like
100%.
Close the feedback loop on it.
What about you, Varney?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about how kind of potentially overwhelming this would be for a lot of people, a lot of operators, particularly in hospitality and in coffee, and how to sort of compute all of this information would be quite daunting. So we've touched on a lot of stuff there that is like kind of external to what a lot of operators are probably like focusing on. And to be able to like jump in and make the best of all of this would be quite difficult. And I think my point before of the real world stuff is fascinating to me. Yeah, that for me, who's squarely in the millennial chunk. It's so interesting to understand what those younger generations actually want.
Yeah.
I just did a quick check of what the actual age range for Gen Z is. Like, maybe I'm not far off it, but I'm
way off
7 years off it. I'm 7 years off it. I'm like, I'm kind of skirting it, guys.
You just don't
I'm the
look like
closest.
you're 7 years off it.
walk me through them, MB.
What's that?
The ages, the brackets.
The age range
brackets?
is 13 to 27
Yeah.
for Gen Z right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit off it.
Yeah.
I think
Bit off the
about some businesses that I've worked with is there is a layer of people here that make all the decisions.
Up high.
The last people that they listen to in terms of, I think this, what about this? I've got a suggestion.
Frontline.
Is the Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's like, what would you know?
Yeah.
I've been in the game. It's
Yeah,
like,
we're wise.
Maybe listen to them, lock them in a room and capture that because...
Yeah, totally.
I won't talk the details, but if anyone's interested, they should Google the history of Crocs. And there was one single campaign at Crocs that turned the whole company around. And it didn't come... The CMO does this awesome interview about it. I think I heard it on like HBR or something, but he basically was like, it wasn't my idea. He's like, all that happened was one of the interns came and knocked on my door and was like, hey, I just wanted to show you this picture. And it was a picture of Post Malone wearing Crocs. And he was like, who is this? And what the hell is on it? She's like, you should do a collab with him. And he was just like, this guy's got face tats. Like, you want me to go to a board of very conservative people and be like, hey, we're going to... But he just was like, you know what? You kind of have your finger on the pulse. Let's go with it. And it broke the internet.
Yeah.
And everything turned and it was just on the back of that. So listen to, the future. It's right
look
there.
At the segment of Crocs, like my 2-year-old and like really cool people doing things.
Totally.
Like Yves Saint Laurent have like mimicked them in like a platform version.
It was almost
classic.
like they got through the chunk of Crocs being incredibly uncool.
Oh, yeah.
And that almost was to their advantage because uncool stuff becomes cool again
real
at some
quick.
point, and if you can hang out for as long as they
That's such a millennial tag. It's like the cool is actually the uncool is cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I think the last sort of takeaway for me is the insight that really got me is that you need to be thinking about Gen Z not as a segment anymore. It's a complete market reset.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at it from that lens and then you apply some of the things that we talked about today, it kind of helps you a little bit to frame it and think about how to implement it. So cool. I reckon we should cut it there. How do you guys feel?
I feel okay with that.
Amazing. Thanks for hanging out and talking about some stats with me.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Show notes, takeaways, and tools are available via our website, pax.melbourne. The PAX Hospitality Podcast is produced by PAX and Crate Creative. Support for this podcast comes from Square and Brunswick Design and Innovation. Our music is produced by Patricia Heath and Matthias Vestergren.